Hey guys, what's up? It's Stacking Chairs, the podcast all about youth ministry, whether it be camp or whether it be youth group. Whatever God has you serving in, that's what we're talking about. I'm joined by my good friend and my fellow host,
What's up, Josh? Josh, I was thinking about this the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know what episode we're in because we don't know what order we're going to launch
This is episode 7. We're doing them in order.
We're going to do them in order?
We're doing them in order.
Oh, fantastic. Well, then, hey, I know exactly what episode this is. This is 7. Okay, question.
Do I speak English now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is Erick Gil. Erick is youth pastor. Erick, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Erick Gil. I'm working currently in Akron, Ohio. I'm part of a church there and work with the youth, and it's a blessing to be able to work with them.
15, almost 16 hours it would take you to get from where you are to here.
Yeah.
And yet you still came.
And I still came.
Wow.
And Erick is one of our winter camp speakers. Our winter camp is called Pursuit Camp. He's one of our winter camp speakers. We're really excited about having Erick down here. Erick, you actually used to serve up in New York.
I did.
With the island.
And we went to college together.
Actually.
Really?
Our first year.
Wow.
First year.
That's crazy. Okay, so
And second year.
so here's the
And
question.
second year.
You grew up in the Dominican Republic.
Yes, sir.
Your parents are involved with SCORE International. Great organization. You've been in ministry at this church for how many years?
I'm coming close to my 4th year.
Coming close to 4 years. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. You met your wife at
Word of Life.
Word of Life Bible Institute.
Bridal Institute.
But you can't get rid of those Dominican roots.
No.
So here's my question.
Yeah, okay, hit me with it.
Have you ever mid-sermon lapsed into Spanish?
I have not.
Really?
No, I have not. I
Only
have said
mid-argument.
words that sounds like I'm saying in Spanish, but I'm just mispronouncing them.
Wow. Only like Josh was saying, only
Mid-argument.
mid-argument.
Only mid-arguments.
We did talk about that before the show.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife, I don't want her to know my secrets.
She already knows them.
That is true. That's marriage.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is marriage. Here's the question we ask
Yeah.
all of our guests. How do you, number one, what kind of chairs do you have in your youth ministry?
We have, I don't know if they can see on the screen, but it's very similar to this one.
Yeah, they can see those.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if they're listening? Close your eyes.
Okay, so close your eyes. If they're the kind of chairs that you can stack, there you
Picture
go.
the most
Yeah.
hoity-toity chairs.
They're not they're not the plastic ones. They're
They're plush.
yeah. They're like what you see. You're like, okay.
How do you find the chair that's soft enough that it's encouraging for them to sit, but not soft enough that it's encouraging for them to fall asleep?
Ooh, you want my unfiltered answer?
Yes.
I think the problem is the preacher.
So
all your
Erick
guys
just
sleep
said,
or-
I'm just learning.
if your kids are falling asleep, it's your fault.
Not the chair.
Hey, either that or they've been playing video games all night long.
All right.
Yeah,
That
one of
could
the
be.
two. Yeah.
All right. Who stacks chairs in your ministry?
So we've been blessed to have a team in our church that's what they do. Our church is decent enough of a size that we have a team that's part of their service. However,
So do we have to talk to them because they might be taking our intellectual property? Have they been
Yes.
calling themselves the Stacking Chairs group or anything?
If they start a podcast,
they know. No, but
Okay.
that is like for Sundays. Like we have a team, thankfully, that they help us out setting up the rooms and stuff. But during the week, when we do have events, we do it ourselves.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, like myself.
so
and
when's the
two
last
other
time you
leaders.
stacked a chair, Erick?
Last Tuesday.
Wow, look at that. Servant leadership.
Well, here's a
Yeah.
question then. How tall do you stack your chairs? Are we going
well-
8s, 10s, 6s?
So I know the podcast is called Stacking Share, but the way we do it is like leaning share because we just lean them one to the other to the wall. Like we pick a place in the wall and we put one there.
Wait,
and
so
the
do they
other-
fold?
They fold, yeah.
Oh,
They fold,
Wait,
yeah.
wait, hold up. So,
I didn't expect that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
thought you said chairs that can stack.
Well, maybe you can stack them.
Man, he does not know his chairs.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that
Let me
brings
start
up,
with that.
so
Yeah,
that
listen.
brings up the next question.
That tells you we do have
they-
a team that they.
Do they have a certain way that they go, and do you make sure that they don't go every other so that they all fit together?
You can. Yeah.
Erick just said,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
care.
Can I
man.
plead my fifth now?
Yes.
I guess
Okay,
we're
I'll
gonna
plead my
have to.
fifth.
Okay, he
Yeah.
wants a fifth. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how
I
do
don't
you
know what the-
transition
what's
out
the
of
fifth?
that?
Fooling is not guilty. So, Erick, you have a growing youth ministry.
Yeah.
In a growing church, and God is doing a lot of incredible things. I've been able to kind of watch some of your services and kind of peek in, not from like the outside, like watching through the windows, nothing
Yeah.
creepy like that.
Yeah,
You guys
no,
put it
no.
up online and I watch it.
Yeah.
So it's been great to kind of watch from afar, but I've also noticed like you guys don't just have a name, you kind of have a brand to your youth ministry.
Yeah.
Help us understand what that brand is. What does it mean? Why is it important to have that brand? How has it helped you? Talk about that a little bit.
So we recognize the importance of branding. And, even as a church, you want to be known by something. You want to be known as something, right? You see it in the world, in the marketing. You see, if you were to walk around, the difference between a Coca-Cola and a Pepsi, right?
Yeah.
You can tell the difference by the branding. They have done an excellent job with that. Well, in our area, there are so many churches that we like to stand out. Now, one of the ways to stand out is by having good branding. You want people to recognize who you are so that people know where to go when they're looking for a place to go. So within our church, we have different ministry, and we have chosen to, the way we do Sundays, it's not the how most churches, what they do, youth group wise, they have a midweek gathering where that's where they do their main service. We flip that, the culture in our church, we actually meet on Sundays. That's where we do our main service on Sunday. And then during the week, we have like our small groups or something like that.
Okay.
So we decided to make it our purpose to have within our church that each ministry has its own identity. So we split the high school and middle schoolers.
Okay.
Middle schoolers, they go by Elevate. In high school, they go by Citizens. So we wanted to make sure that everybody knew who they are.
Yeah.
Now, the cool thing about it is you can find some sort of ownership when you're presenting it to your students. You want them to buy in. You want them to understand this is what you're part of, right? That's something that I learned coming here into America. I have never seen a culture that is so proud of their, where they're from. You could go anywhere and you can start a chant, USA, right? And I love that, right? So the idea of branding is so that your students also are proud of where they're part of.
Yeah.
So that when they go back to their schools, when they go with their friends, they are proud of what they say, what they wear. And when you're thinking about outreach, inviting people that are not Christian into their church, you want them to be able to recognize what that is.
Yeah.
That's cool. So Elevate, Citizen, where did those names come from? How do they stand out as important to your ministry?
So I'm going to be transparent with you.
You're going to plead another fifth?
Another fifth, no.
Yeah, we should have invited John, their branding manager.
Yeah. So the Elevate name was there at the church even before I came.
Okay.
And the high school name used to have a name called Revo. That used to be the name. So when I came on staff, I was wondering what was the reason behind the two names.
Yeah.
And nobody could tell. The youth pastor that had come up with that name has left the church at that point, so nobody could remember what it was. It was 10, 15 years old name. So I went out and I started doing some research on my own, what I wanted our student ministry to look like. And I like the name Elevate. There's not really, I'm not going to say here, the purpose of Elevate is to be elevate to God, or something like that.
So that's not the purpose.
Well, we do want to point people to Christ, right? But that's not the purpose behind it. We just did
journalism.
Yeah. And then with Citizens, that's something again, as a non-American that lives in the U.S., that's a concept that is clear to me. What it takes to be in a place that you are not from, but that you have to deal with the people that live here, right? So I want our students to recognize too that even though we may live here in this world, this is not our place. We're citizens of heaven.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wanted to, in a sense, by our name, indoctrinate that concept to them.
That's all.
Sure.
So we decided to go with those names. We kept Elevate, and then we changed from Revel, which the argument was, is it revolution or revelation?
Oh, gotcha.
We don't even know. So we changed to Citizen.
That's cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So do you find that by building this brand, you're trying to get people to kind of resonate and come behind this idea of the church, but do you find that sometimes that the brand gets in the way? I'm not saying it does. I'm just asking, does it get in the way of your purpose of your youth group? What's the purpose of your youth group? And does the brand aid to that, or does it distract from that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So our mission statement is boldly share. We want every one of our students to boldly share Christ in every area of their life. That's what we are always communicating. We used to have it in our youth room, but we painted over because we were renovating the room.
Sure.
So it got lost. But that is our missions. That's what drives our ministry.
Okay.
But I have seen even on myself, like we can get so caught up on the branding that if we're not careful, we can forget what that is. So I the difference between a mission statement and a vision statement. A vision is the direction that, or where you see yourself in the future. It's like what takes you to the end, what you want the end to look like. Whereas the mission is who you are. And in business, they say that you need both, or that both are essential, and they put it at a similar playing field. But I'm of the opinion that a mission statement has to be more important than your purpose statement. If it doesn't matter where you get at the end, if what you are today is not sounded in doctrine, it's not sounded with what the Word of God says, right?
Yeah.
So I have seen too, because I want to get to this point, right, to down the road. I am willing to, if I'm not careful, to influence who I am today. And I put my focus on the end compromising on today, right? So I've seen that. I've seen the effects of getting so caught up on like, we want to promote this, we want to do this new, we want to do merch, we want to do podcasts to get our name out, we want to send this to the students, a handout and things like that, and forgetting that we're here so that every student can grow, can learn how to boldly share Christ in every area of their life.
Well,
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because for those who don't know, that's what I do here at Word of Life, is marketing and branding, and even when we started this podcast, thinking through like the branding, it's like, okay, there's the benefit of we're getting our name out, we're building community, we're doing all these things. But then I struggled with it. I think I talked about it in the first episode even, of just like stepping back and asking, why am I doing this? Why do we build up this brand? Is it because we're trying to make ourselves great? Like, hey, we look at Word of Life and look at, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of your church.
Maranatha Bible Church.
Maranatha, okay. So you're like, look at Maranatha. Sorry. Look at it. Didn't even do my research.
That's okay.
No,
Wow.
it's all right. Hey,
This is Erick Gil.
Yeah. See, I know Eric.
Hey, we have folding chairs, not stacking chairs.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, John came from marketing here at Word of Life.
Yeah,
and
he
then
did.
went to, which is their branding manager. I don't know what his title
He's a
even is,
communicator, director.
Gotcha. Okay.
Everything.
Gotcha. He's everything, right? So, hey, jack of all trades.
Yeah,
Master
jack
of all.
He's
Master
amazing.
of all. Yeah. But anyway, talking about just building up that brand and finding the purpose behind it, I struggled inside. I was like, hey, am I doing this because we want to build a community, because we want to be, someone who's giving resources, and just, we even talked about last week, like it's almost like a discipleship opportunity we have where other people just kind of get to jump in.
Yeah.
But building all these things up, building up these brands, how do you make sure that, like what you're talking about even, how do you make sure that the focus of the gospel, building community, what ministry is supposed to be, how do you make sure that stays your focus and it doesn't just become part of your brand? Does that make sense?
No, that makes total sense. So here's the other challenge of building a brand when it's kind of like your baby. So naturally you're going to make it personal. And you're going to take it as if, this is my baby. I'm building this from scratch, or I'm pushing for this. I'm investing in things. So you can get caught up on that. So something that has helped me a lot is I have this verse. Where is it? It's in Acts that says this. Acts. Oh, hold on. I took a screenshot of it. I want to make sure. All right. Anyways, it's in Acts.
Yeah.
The context of Acts 4 it says this in verse 13. The context of this, Paul and Peter and John are going around preaching the gospel. They're doing all of these things for Christ. They heal a lame man. The people get mad that they do this stuff, and they take him to in front of all the people. And I love what they say here after they share the gospel. It says here in verse 13 of Acts 4. Now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were uneducated, common men, they were astonished. And I love the next sentence, because they recognized that they had been spending time with Jesus, of that they'd been with Jesus.
Yeah.
So for me, what helped me is that at the end of the day, as a leader, as a ministry, is what are we doing to spend time with Jesus? What are we doing to promote Jesus? At the end of the day, we can have all the branding that we want. We can get out there as much as we want. But if we forget what we're there for, if we forget who I am as a leader and what the ministry is, then we have lost everything.
Yeah. And I would even take it that, like, if our brand doesn't point back to our ultimate brand. So if we're branded as a Christian, if our brand of our youth ministry, our church, and all those things don't point us back to the brand of being a follower of Jesus Christ, then it's just a business, right? I mean, it's just a brand for a business.
And I was asking, I was just looking at my phone to see what people were saying. I asked today on couple different groups that I'm in. Hey, what are things that are distractions from Jesus in your youth ministry? And it's crazy. Again and again, people are like, well, there's sports, well, there's different events, there's social media, there's my profile, there's your profile. And I just sat there and I thought, how easy is it for Satan and his idea to get anything, even our own brand? You know, there's a podcast out there. We've referred to it before. There's a podcast about different people, or, you know, sometimes where we could have the best intentions, but somewhere along the line, like you were just saying, we make it more about me than about what God is doing. We make it more about even the ministry that I've been able to be a part of. And you know, as a camp director, sometimes it's hard for me not to just fight for what I like and the way that I like it done, instead of hearing out what is the best idea. In fact, I was just sitting down with my boss the other day and we were running a new idea. Hey, what if we did this? We do that because number one, he's the boss. You should do that. Number two, I do that because he was the previous camp director. And so we sat down and we said, hey, you know, here's what we're thinking. Here's what we're looking at. And it was funny because at the end of the meeting, everybody left. It was him and I, and he looks at me and he goes, I hope you guys never walk in here with a little bit of fear and trepidation, thinking, you know, like, am I just going to shoot anything down? And I kind of laughed and I kind of, you know, talked, but I sat there and I thought, there are definitely times I think, you know, like with him, is he going to respond but this is the way that I've done it. And so therefore it's the best way. Cause I can do that too. I think all of us can do that. And
sure.
again,
Can do that.
I think we can fall in front of our own, you know, like you said, the purpose is the gospel. The mission is, this is our heartbeat. This is what we want to see done. But I can have something great happen, and then I can kind of step in front of that. How have you fought to make sure that brand doesn't become the focus, that you're not preaching Elevate, or you're not preaching Maranatha, or you're not preaching Erick Gil, or you're not preaching Citizen, but you're allowing those to almost be, and if I may, illustrations that you can use to keep that main focus on. How have you wrestled with that?
So it definitely is a wrestle. Again, like I said, it's human to feel proud of what you're part of. And when you're seeing some success, when you're seeing some progress, it's hard for you not to you know, give yourself a tap on the back and saying good job, right? I think it has to really to do with a recognition of what's our role as leaders and what is our role as people that are in youth ministry. If you're a youth pastor, what is your role is, right? The recognition that God can use anyone, right? There's nothing special about me as an individual. I may have this giftedness, that giftedness, and I may be good at this and that. But at the end of the day, God doesn't need me to get his will done, right?
Amen.
And the blessing of all of this is that he allows me to be part of this. So when you realize that everything that I get to do is a blessing, is an opportunity for me to be used by him, kind of puts you in, it kind of humbles you, right? To recognize that, you know, it's not the Erick show, it's not the Citizen show, it's not Maranatha show, right? You know, we're here to promote God. We're here to promote what he has done through his son, Jesus, on the cross, and the fact that he rose from the dead 3 days later. That's what we're here for. And I love, if I may, and I actually fix it, in Galatians 6, verse 14. I love this verse about Paul. You know, Paul is dealing with a church that is having some conflict of identity or finding who they're going to follow. And I love what Paul says. He said, but far be it from me to boast except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, by which the world has been crucified to me, and I too the world. I love that about Paul. He's recognizing if there's anyone that could boast, if there's anyone that could brag about branding or identity, it'll be him. It'll be my boy Paul, right? And yet he's here saying, like, the only thing that I could boast about is what Jesus did on the cross. And that's what we need to recognize as leaders, that at the end of the day, we're only as special because God uses us. If God didn't use us, then there's nothing special about us because we are broken, sinful individuals, right? So...
Absolutely. Well, and so let me let you in on my, you know, some people, they want to go around, they want to see every baseball stadium, you know, or they want to see every football stadium, or they want to I've decided about a year ago, I'm going to list a group of pastors, different guys that I want to go and see preach live. but here's the thing. The reason that I have is not just because they're like a great preacher, but they handle the word of God really, really well. And even in this context, like we're talking about it in our little context. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We could talk about the breadth of our ministry and the amount of people, but that's nothing compared to some of these guys that have to deal with it day in and day out. And that's why I think we've got to be continually checking ourselves. I think we got to surround ourselves with a group of people that can help us, ask questions. And hey, Eric, you're great, man, but let's remember it's not all about you. I praise God that I've got a group of friends and group of people around me that can do that. But man, they're on another stratosphere almost of like how hard it has to be for it not to be about them.
Yeah. I mean, the podcast that we always reference, I mean, that is listening to that, there's a whole episode about marketing, the rise and fall of a place, but I can't say it. We don't want to
the up and down
of a place that is from a hill.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is they have a whole episode or a couple even talking about marketing. And I always hear it and I'm always like, I am this much of a decision away from being that.
Right.
Yeah.
And letting brand become the focus takes away from the purpose of what you're doing. And one thing that I found that really helps me is we're surrounded by people in ministry.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by the echo chamber, I would say, even times of
us echo. No.
of people in ministry. So we say, hey, what do you think of our brand? Are we doing the right thing? And we'll go to another person in ministry and say, yeah, I think you're doing great. And look at our brand. Are we doing the right thing? Yeah. But what I'll do sometimes is I'll go to someone who's not in ministry and just say like, this is what I'm thinking of in my job.
Yeah.
And you just, you're in church and you're serving, but this isn't your full-time job.
Yeah. Right.
Do you see this as a red flag as well? And getting that outside perspective has helped me stay grounded.
Well, and I wonder if it's almost the new, one question that we've never asked our guests. And I'm not interested in asking our guests. Okay. But I'm going to talk about the question.
Now I'm curious. I don't want to ask them.
But the normal question is, all right, how big is your ministry? Right.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about numbers. But we've all known for years that that's kind of like the little bit of a faux pas. But I feel like the new thing is, all right, tell me about your brand.
Yeah.
And so we can find ourselves not maybe bragging about the numbers because we know that that's wrong, but bragging about the brand.
How cool our lighting is and how cool like our feel is, our vibe.
And so just remember, now at the same time, I do want to take a couple minutes here.
Sure.
And talk about the fact that it's not wrong to have a brand.
No. That's
it's not wrong to have a brand. And so maybe you're sitting there and you're like, hey, my student ministry doesn't have a name. Let's pause for a second. Let's hit the pause button. Just kidding. Let's hit the pause button. For years, I grew up in a church that did not have a youth group name.
Yeah.
I knew other churches did have a youth group name, but it wasn't as big. But for years, you could fall in love with your denominational brand of your church. I go to this type of church. I go to that type of church. Oh, you go to that type of church, And so again, this whole branding idea has been going on for years and years and years before we actually had, even back to the I'm of Apollos. I'm of Apollo.
Yeah,
I'm
your brand.
Apollos. I don't think that and him. That's the other verse that we didn't know. But I'm of Paul. And Paul's like, well, I'm of Christ,
Yeah.
But again, it's not wrong to have a brand.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what is the good thing? What's one or two good things that has helped you having this brand? That's my first question. So get into that.
So before I answer that question, I do want to resonate to what you said about accountability. That is huge. That as a way of keeping yourself knowing what, keeping the main thing, the main thing, right?
Absolutely.
You have to have accountability in order to make sure that you're not losing the focus of what you're there for, right? To answer your question, branding, when done well, is huge because one of the ways that is beneficial for your ministry is that it gets your name out there. When you get your students to be proud and to have ownership of what they're part of, guess what? They're gonna go to their school and they're gonna talk about it. If you have, like, for example, I give you an idea of something that we have done in our youth. We're trying to stay away from the traditional church merch. That church merch that you would always see that you can tell, put it apart whenever you see it. You can pick it apart from the crowd. They got big Bible verses and stuff like that. We want to make sure. We want to make sure that the stuff that we're putting out are things that kids will want to wear to school.
Yeah.
So that they will wear not just to go painting or to go on missions, or that they'll wear and wear now. But in doing that, what we're accomplishing is that kids are getting curious in their school. They want to know, hey, that's a nice shirt, that's a nice hoodie. Where did you get that? What's going on with this? And therein we can see how some of them are even coming or to.
It's like a Trojan horse almost.
Correct.
Like.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's like correct way.
I've never thought about it that way, but yeah.
But it is
like,
true.
it pop out in the gospel.
Yeah, the gospel. Yeah. So
it's a good thing.
They see that, and now they're gonna. The idea is for them to get curious about what you're offering. What is this ministry?
Yeah.
What is Citizen? What is Rebel? Or whatever your youth group's name is. Right. You want them to be curious, especially if they don't know Jesus. Those are the targeted. My opinion is. My belief is that when you have done branding is not necessarily done specifically for the believer. It's not, the believer shouldn't be the majority of the focus, right? Mm-hmm. You should have in line the non-believers, because those are the ones your branding is trying to reach, right? Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola is trying to reach those that are like Pepsi. Pepsi is trying to reach those that like Coca-Cola, right?
Interesting.
So that's kind of like the mentality too of branding. You have to make sure that you do things that people that are far from Christ can have a way of connecting with him.
Mm-hmm. That was not the perspective that I would have come from, but that's honestly huge.
Phenomenal. Okay, so you said, just as we continue to move on, branding's good. Branding helps to pull you together. It helps you to market out and grab and draw other people's attention. You made a statement a couple minutes ago that when you arrived at the church, you didn't walk in and go, okay, I'm here now, I'm going to change everything. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes that's our tendency of, oh, well, I don't want anything of the previous king or youth pastor or pastor, which, let's be honest, is not always the best decision. Yeah. You don't necessarily, listen, there's a pastor or a youth leader out there listening to this or watching this, and you felt like you needed to show up and tear down the other guy because, frankly, it's an insecurity in you that somebody might like what they did before. Yeah. Praise God they did it before, because if they didn't do it before, you wouldn't be in the job that you're in right now. Okay, so let's just get that up. But here's the deal. You didn't change it, but you tweaked it. You changed one of them, but you took the time to pray and to search and to bring in. Did you bring in other people and kind of have like almost like a brain trust or a group? Or was this a you decision? Or how did you roll out that new Citizen from Revel? Like how did that?
So a big teller for us to go transition was the fact that nobody could pinpoint what it meant for the names that we were carrying. Okay, that's a teller, and so that was something that was steering me when I first started. But we didn't actually came to change the name till after I have been on the role for 2.5 years. And the way we came about changing the names, I as the leader that oversaw the ministry, I was looking to see our options and things that I could be passionate about. But the key was, these are the things that I don't want them to be just because of me. I don't want to be the kind of youth pastor that leaves youth ministry and leaves something set up based on my identity or my personality. Yeah. I want it to be something that is not about me, that if I'm removed today, that it continues to be ineffective because it's not about me. So the one way that we did this was to bring other people's into the team. We brought some of our students leaders. We brought some of our volunteer leaders, and then we brought our other staff members, people from within our church that are currently serving. That we wanted them to see, okay, what do you think about this? What are your opinions? And even we walked through them in every step of the way before we came to a final conclusion. When we came with a name, they helped us. When we were looking at logos, they helped us. When we were looking at colors, they helped us. So that in doing so, is not the Erick show. It's not Erick made all of this. It's not if a new pastor come out, they can say, well, that was Erick's vision. I have a different vision. Right. The idea is to stay consistent. And I tell you this, the vision that we have of boldly share Christ in every area of their life, it wasn't something that I came up with. Yeah. That was something that was previously done in our youth ministry. That is something that as I came into the new role, as something I could follow. I recognize the importance of that, and I want to follow that idea in the same way. I want the branding that we're doing to do that as well for the next guys that take on the role.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and I love that heartbeat of yours to go. Let's bring the team in. Let's bring everybody in so that it's something that outlasts me. I for years I would sit down with youth pastors and I would say, hey, listen, you got to remember Ecclesiastes. I think it's 3 that says you don't know if the person that's going to come after you is going to do a good job or a bad job. And frankly, that's not your business to worry about. Your job is to do the best job with what you have now to serve, to give, and set up that person so that hopefully whoever comes in afterwards can kind of pick up that torch. All of us, I'm sure, our heart's desire, our prayer is that we're pouring into the next youth pastor. Yeah. We're pouring into the next camp director. We're pouring into the next marketing guy that can step up and can kind of carry this on. So man, I love that. Thank you so much. Josh, we could go on and on and on with this.
But part of our brand is to then move into small group.
Or echo chamber.
Echo chamber.
Oh, no.
Folding chairs.
No, it's a good thing. All right, so every time in small group we try to talk about like something normally funny. Every once in a while we cover something serious. I did ask that serious question today.
Okay,
one of the guys actually said, you know what gets in front of what are distractions for your ministry that steal the focus from Jesus? He said, people that are missing God's grace. Sometimes the youth, sometimes the congregation, sometimes the public, sometimes me. And I thought, wow, like that was just a real raw answer.
Yeah.
But hey, we're going to talk about something fun.
Okay.
So I asked a couple weeks ago, tell me about something that happened in a game that just went wrong.
Yeah.
This is what they said. We did an icebreaker game. The concept was simple: a donut eating contest. Someone added the suggested flair of having them wear fake beards because apparently one of the Duck Dynasty guys ate a lot of donuts during a then recent episode. All right.
Okay.
And here it goes downhill from here. One contestant, a student, about 6'4", 300 pounds, began to choke on stage because he wasn't chewing and was getting the fake beard hair tangled in with the donuts.
Oh my.
Now, all of this happened on stage, okay? Goober number one incorrectly tried to give him the Heimlich, but the contestant was about 100 pounds heavier than he was. Goober number two tried to lie the contestant down and give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation until literally the whole room shouted, "No!" Just then, a student who was also a lifeguard jumped up, ran up onto the stage, sat him up, and slapped him on the back so hard that Satan himself would have come out of him. Suddenly, a soul-ripping burp echoed through the silent auditorium, and a 3-inch donut /hair/sausage wetly flopped out onto the stage. The student stood up, took the rest of his donuts, and quietly ate the dozen in the corner of the building for the rest of the evening.
Wow.
That's dedication.
I want to see a Netflix documentary on that.
Seriously.
Honestly, I want to see how it all play out.
And it has to be as long as, what was that? The one with the real GOAT of basketball. Was it the last season? Come on.
I know what you're talking about.
Salsa.
The last salsa.
Is that what it's called?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say
The Last Dance.
Yeah.
It was
Last Dance.
I didn't know if you were not trying to say the name.
Yeah, IP. We can't be just talking about IP.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times you guys have both been program guys for camp? How many times have you seen? I
forgot to bring him. I was going to bring you the 7 deadly sins.
Oh,
we talked about
of the
that
game.
last time.
Yeah.
Have I ever shared that with you? The 7 deadly sins of running a game.
I think you have. I don't remember them though.
Okay, you guys keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I told the story in episode 1 of the time where I saw somebody during one of the games at snow camp. They came up and they're like, "Oh, what are we having for the game?" And they went like this and like put it in their mouth. It had been a kid had just thrown up. Yeah. And they do you remember that?
Yeah. It was my year.
Yeah, no, okay, it would have been, but I'm trying to remember her name, the poor girl.
No.
That it happened to. And then RJ was there.
Yeah.
You remember RJ?
RJ, he was awesome. With being program, I mean, as a youth pastor now, I think I was able to weed out a lot of those dumb mistakes because of my dumb mistakes that I made as a program
amen.
guy.
Amen.
Yeah.
And
It's awesome.
And the worst is when you sit down and you have a baseline game and it's just just late enough and you have this small group of people that like you come up with an idea and then this is funny 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 and then you end up running this game like 4 to 5 hours later that had nothing to do with the baseline game and you're like, why isn't everybody getting it? This is hilarious. Eric, any last words?
Muchas gracias por tenerme aquí. Es un placer.
Vaya con Dios.
Yeah.
Siempre.
Amén.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it has been fantastic stacking some chairs with you. Just make sure they're the right color. Make sure you know how to stack them. Make sure that you know what order they go in.
Yeah.
Josh, close us out as always.
Guys, goodbye.
That's awesome.
That's it. That's
simple.
clean. It's simple.
Yeah.
That's my brand.
Yeah.
No, hey guys, this has been Stacking Chairs. Thanks so much. We've been talking about youth ministry. We've been talking about brand. Go out there and support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you stack them or you fold them?
You can do both.
Fade
I
out.
feel
Just
like
gonna
they're like
fade
the
out,
metal ones.